Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. And yesterday's World of Warships video seemed to go down quite well. I'm not really sure what that says about you lot, because that that Triple Leon division firing its 48 gun salute every 30 seconds was nothing short of disgusting, but you lot seem to find it amusing, so who am I to argue? But how do you follow something like that? Well, we're going to have a go today in World of Tanks, and I suppose we're just going to have to start off with, well, something World of Tanky. How about a KV-2? It's been shot at by a French autoloader, has absolutely no idea where it is, and just blind fires at the nearest bush without bothering to aim, and... oh yeah, this is World of Tanks, alright. So, thank you to, and I'm not making this up, this is his name, Hocus Pocus Arty Focus. Living up to his name here, for that shocking display of Soviet accuracy in everybody's favourite balanced Tier 6 Soviet heavy tank, the KV-2. But hang on, there are rumblings of discontent from the Japanese super heavy drivers. They're all a bit upset that I referred to them as glue sniffers in my last World of Tanks video. Well, you should stop going around sniffing glue then, shouldn't you? What's that? Anything a KV-2 can do, you can do better? Alright, challenge accepted. Wait, a 16 health AMX 1370? Ah. Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. Our next clip was sent in by, I don't want to call him Dave, I'll have a go at pronouncing his name. This isn't him, by the way, he's already dead. He's in the T-3485, and I realise I am just stalling. Georges 29? I'm going to call him George. Yeah, it beats Dave. He put up a valiant defence on the corner at the northern end of the Fjords map here, but overwhelming odds, he never really stood a chance. And he said to me, it's not really about what I did, but just pay attention to what happens when there are only 7 tanks left. Well, we're not quite there yet, but I just wanted to highlight this AMX-12T, who put in a great performance. He's already on 4 kills. Suddenly a wild Hellcat appears, pumps a couple of shots into him, but well, it's a Hellcat, and he's only in an AMX-12T, doesn't have a huge amount of health, but he's spotted him, ducks back into cover, comes out for the kill, but the AMX-13 F3, Zippello, up there to the north, gets the kill. The P-43 gets taken out by the Nassau, so the scores are even, it's all still to play for. And that's when the AMX-12T runs into a slight problem that very quickly turns into a big problem. He might have stood a chance against the IKV-65. In fact, he probably stood a very good chance against the IKV-65, particularly with artillery support from the Hummel to the south, but not an IKV-65 and a T-34-85. So the 12T's done, and now we're down to 7 tanks, and this is where the magic starts. So, that poor Nassau... Oh, hello again, George. How you doing? But that poor Nassau, we'll get to him in a second, here he is now in the unenviable position of having to scout in a tank destroyer for a pair of artillery. Not something you really want to do, but credit to him, he straps his man pants on and he goes for it. And he's found the T-34-85. I'm not sure if that's good news or bad news, but he's very much relying on his artillery at this point. Mostly the Hummel, he does take the shot, but the T-34-85 is just that little bit too fast. The Nassau puts one shot into him. But, yeah. So now it's 2 artillery versus a T-34-85, an IKV-65, and 2 enemy artillery. Now then, about that enemy artillery. The Hummel, who's paying attention to the minimap, has just realised that enemy artillery has in fact been spotted by friendly artillery. So he plants one right into him, which is not quite enough, and that's going to prove to be very unfortunate for Zippello here in the friendly AMX-13 F3. He daren't go out and finish him because 1, the enemy artillery is waiting for him, and 2, there's the T-34-85, so he plants a shot into him and doesn't quite finish him off. There's the IKV, the enemy F3 comes out knowing that Zippello's just fired. Zippello takes a big hit there, possibly from the enemy Hummel, and then, I don't know what the hell happened there. I mean, your guess is as good as mine. And you may have noticed that Joe Bar, in the friendly Hummel, has been exercising remarkable restraint here He's not going for the enemy artillery, not with a friendly tank in such close proximity. He has been shooting at the T-34-85. He's coming around the corner. Not entirely sure exactly what he's waiting for, but he's making a very, very nice target for Joe Barr's Hummel once again. Now at this point I've got no idea what the enemy IKV is doing, because he was just over there at the other end of the lake and he's had ample opportunity to get around behind Zippello and kill him. But for some reason he's not. Which is really bad news for the enemy F3. I'm also kind of curious as to what the enemy Hummel's doing. Zippello's going to try to finish him off, but yeah, he doesn't have the gun depression for it either. The enemy Hummel may have been holding his fire because he didn't want to risk killing the enemy F3, but he no longer has that excuse. The enemy F3 is beyond helping, and Joe Bar finishes him off. But while we're trying to figure out why the enemy Hummel never took a second shot, the IKV has gone south and he's finished off Joe Bar's Hummel. And Zippello very, very nearly ended it all right there. Yeah, that would have been quite embarrassing. It would have been funny, but it would have been embarrassing. So it's 1 against 2. We know that the IKV is still down to the south because he's just, unfortunately, finished off Joe Bar's Hummel. And if any further confirmation were needed, he's just started a cap. Well, we're assuming it's the IKV. It could be the Hummel. Why did the Hummel never take that second shot? What's he been doing? Okay, well, yeah, that explains it. So, Zippello in the AMX-13 F3. He's had a pretty good game so far. But now he has to kill that IKV-65 for the win. On the plus side, he knows he's in the cap circle. On the minus side, there's only really 2 ways of approaching that cap circle. So this is all going to depend on the IKV having his gun pointing the wrong way. Still, Zippello's been pretty lucky so far, but even a broken clock tells the right time twice a day. Bugger. This is WWZ552, and he is the last tank left alive on his team. But that's alright. He's in a Matilda. Yet we've all seen those Matilda replays. Those games where the Matilda is the last tank left alive on the team against half the enemy team and still somehow manages to win and kill them all in the process. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your perspective, those days are long gone. The Matilda is no longer quite the queen of the battlefield that it used to be in a Tier 4 game. It's no longer virtually bulletproof. There are all kinds of guns, even in a Tier 4 battle, that can quite happily penetrate the Matilda's armour. The Panzer 38 over there can, if he gets the right shot. And yep, this 2-pounder gun, with the Little John adapter, very high penetration, did just bounce off a Panzer 38. The Lux over there, if he's sporting the 30mm autocannon, has 90mm of penetration, can easily, at close range, penetrate the Matilda's armour. So what's a Matilda to do when it's the last tank standing against 5 enemies? You're spotted, they all know where you are, and there's artillery in play. Well, you batten down the hatches, you stand by to repel boarders, and you sell your life dearly. Ironically, it's the M22 Locust who's going to cause him the most problems. Yeah, the Locust, with the gun that can't actually penetrate his armour. Not the Gross Tractor, not the Lux, not the Panzer 38, not even the enemy Sexton. No, it's the M22, who hasn't actually been spotted. He's using concealment like a boss. The Gross Tractor is dead. Spotted crudely the small tanks, the Lux is dead. The Panzer 38 is dead. And now, it's just WWZ, the completely 100% unspotted Locust, and the Sexton. Now, here's the thing. The Locust is using such good concealment that he cannot actually see WWZ's Matilda. And that's a two-way street, neither of them can see each other. So WWZ starts firing down the axis of incoming fire, but he's not hitting the Matilda. The Matilda, however, keeps blowing his tracks off. Even though he can't see him, he knows he's hitting him, and he knows he's causing critical damage. So he's just keeping him tracked and waiting for the Sexton to finish the job. The problem for the Sexton is because the Locust can't actually see him, the Sexton can't see him either, and the last shot the Sexton fired missed, so he doesn't even know if he's on target. And that's bad news for the artillery, because it means he has to come looking for him himself. He has one shot, he fluffs it, and now he's dead too. So now that Locust has to make a decision. He can keep firing, even though he's not doing any damage, and all he's really going to do is force a draw. He's going to prevent WWZ from capping, but the Locust stops shooting. Now it may be because he's run out of ammunition, which is, it's possible, but unlikely. Or it may be that he's realised, you know what, I'm just wasting my time and money here. The Locust has a 37mm gun. It's not impossible for a Locust to penetrate in Matilda's armour. It's just difficult. Even without premium ammunition, can penetrate the Matilda's rear armour, but, well, he's not going to get around behind WWZ without being spotted now that he's pulled back after getting his tracks back up. And he can, theoretically, penetrate the Matilda, well, just about anywhere, if he fires the gold ammo, but even then he only has a slightly better than 50-50 chance of penetrating. It's got to be tempting, though, because with 40 average damage, WWZ is potentially a one-shot kill, but the odds are not good. First, you only have a slightly better than average chance of penetrating, and you only have an average chance of doing enough damage to kill him. So what would you be doing in this situation if you were in the Locust? Would you perhaps be lurking on the flank, just waiting until the last possible moment to blow his tracks off once again and force a draw, denying him the cap? A lot of people would do that, but not our Locust. He's managed to make it all the way over to the other side of the battlefield, and he's farmed himself some cap points to ensure he at least comes out of this game with something to show for it. Which is great news for WWZ, because it means he has in fact won. Yeah, the Matilda's still got it. Our final clip of the day comes courtesy of Wanderer Finn in the Death Star, the FV215B183. It's traditional at this point for me to include a brief clip from John Williams' Imperial March from Star Wars, but unless I want to get this entire video claimed and monetized by Sony Music, I daren't put 5 seconds of John Williams music into it, so just use your imagination. Hum along with me. Come on. Dum 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 dum. You get the idea. Yeah? Okay, good. Right. Anyway, I have to admit I was a bit surprised at what Wanderer is doing here. Because let's face it, I mean, there are sneaky tank destroyers, and then there's the FV215B183, the Death Star. It's not the most subtle of machines. I mean, this is one of the few man-made objects that can be seen from orbit. And look at this position that Wanderer is taking. Look at all of that concealment that he's taken advantage of in this thing. And yet, well, he seems to know his spotting ranges, because he's taken shot after shot without getting spotted. This guy definitely knows his spotting ranges. You know, you got to take your hat off to him. Respect. Now, obviously the Death Star is no longer technically in the game. I mean, it is, but you can no longer get it. Now it's a premium. It's been replaced by the Badger. There was a time, I can't remember exactly how much ammunition this machine used to carry. I think it only loaded 12 shots. So you had to make sure absolutely every single shot you fired counted. And that's one of the reasons why most people just stacked nothing but premium HESH ammunition in this thing. Because with such a limited ammunition capacity, you could not afford to miss, or bounce, or fail to do damage. Also, firing HESH in this thing was hilarious. You could miss the target by 3 meters and still do 400 to 500 damage. That never got old. Never. But now, well, as you can see, Wanderer has a fairly healthy selection of ammunition types available. And substantially more, well, not substantially more, but he's got more than 12 shots. He began the game with 20 shots loaded. Way better than the 12, or so, I think it was 12, that this tank originally used to have. And he has been having a reasonably good game so far. It's not been a terrible start. 3 shots fired, 3 hits, only the 1 kill. He's mostly been firing the armor piercing so far. Hasn't actually expended any HESH. Ooh, can we make it 4 shots, 4 hits, 2 kills? Yes, we can. RNGesus giveth, but RNGesus also taketh away. And he's spotted for the first time in this game, with less than 4,000 damage done, with 11 shots fired from the biggest gun in World of Tanks. But RNGesus is not quite finished with him. Yep, he's stuck on the rocks. RNGesus is going to throw him a bone, however, because remember, the Death Star doesn't actually have a proper turret. It doesn't rotate all the way around. So the only way he can do any further damage from here on in is if somebody's dumb enough to drive in front of him. Oh yeah, he knows he's screwed. But don't be deceived. This is just RNGesus throwing him a bone, giving him false hope. There's the FV4202. He's taking advantage of the fact that he's just fired, but that tank doesn't have the DPM to finish him off before he reloads this gun. The only problem, look, do you see how much gun depression he needs? It's just tormenting him, and he's been ammo racked. But it doesn't matter, because he just can't get the gun down far enough to finish off the FV4202, and even if he could, he's stuck on the rock and the mouse is shooting him up the ass. So, yeah. Okay, that's it. Enough. I will torment you no more. That's it for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.